Would you like to change your relationship with money? Would you like to be paying yourself first, be investing your money? Well, you can do all this on any income, and I can show you how to do that. But more importantly, if your mindset is not in the right place, it will hold you back from taking the action you know you should do to create financial freedom in your life. And if you want to transform this and change that mindset that holds you back, then head on over to the www.facebookgroups/be financially free. I will share the link in the notes, and grab your free guide, 5 steps to breaking free from your poverty mindset. And let's go create financial freedom together. Welcome to the Financial Freedom Podcast with your host, Lorna Poole, sharing the secrets to creating wealth, investing, and that all-important money mindset. To find out more and accelerate your journey to financial freedom, head on over to www.lornapoole.com to get started. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Financial Freedom Podcast. My guest expert today is Cali Estes, and she has built her wealth in the addiction and mental health industry. Cali built her first 7-figure business, then lost it all and ended up homeless. From there, she created the Addiction Academy, which is now a multiple 7-figure business. Cali has a Ph.D, is an author and a highly sought-after addiction therapist and life coach and corporate coach. And what we're going to chat about today is how to create a financial comeback. When everything goes wrong, how do you get that back? So, Cali, great to have you here.
Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here.
So, you know, in the field of addiction, I'm sure you've been through a lot in life.
Oh, yeah. I've seen it all.
So I'm guessing that this is something you experienced yourself, and you know, you say here that, you know, you had built a big business and then you ended up homeless and you rebuilt it again. So how does somebody, did you start at rock bottom? Like how did you even get going in the first place?
Well, so I grew up very poor with very limited resources. And I knew at an early age I wanted to leave the area because it wasn't conducive to making money or success. Yeah. Find a different place, find a different area, and excel and do something fun. So I spent the first 5 or 6 years after high school kind of, you know, paycheck to paycheck, not making any money, you know, homeless twice, just trying to do it because I didn't have family support because they didn't have the resources. Yeah. And then I said to a friend of mine, I'm just tired of not having any money. I'm tired of not being able to do anything, you know, because we just don't have any money. And he said, let's start a company. And I looked at him and I went, I have $300 to my name. How am I going to start a company? Yeah. So I applied for credit cards and got a limit. And we basically made business cards and threw up a website and started selling fitness. And we became the largest
in-home fitness company.
Fitness. We were doing personal training.
Mm-hmm. Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah, in-home. And we became the largest in-home personal training company in the world. And I tell people, I didn't even have furniture in my house. I was sleeping on a sleeping bag, and I turned over the plastic container that had my clothes in it and threw my laptop. Actually, it was a desktop at that time. On top of there, my computer, and that was my desk. I sat on the floor, and I worked for hours. And we built a business, and we ended up, you know, making over millions of dollars doing it. And in the economic downturn of 2008, I lost everything. And when I was moving from California back to Philadelphia, all of my stuff burned up in a fire. So I literally ended up with the clothes on my back, my cell phone, my dog, a car they repossessed. So I had nothing. And I sat down and said, I got to start over. And it wasn't even a question of when, you know, how or what, it was when. And I started another company. And then I got back into addiction because that's what I knew. It's what I'm really good at. And it's not, this industry does not pay well if you work for someone else. And it's high stress. It's 60 hours a week. You're exhausted. You're pulled in every direction. And I got back into the industry, and the owner of the company pulled in a very expensive car and had no high school education and made fun of us that we're doing all the work so that he could have all the money. And I said to him, I quit. I'm going to start my own thing. And I did. And I got back into private practice, and I kind of blew up for what I do. So I'm known as the female Dr. Drew, and I work with high-profile athletes, NBA, NFL, celebrities, CEOs. I wanted to come into that market. I wasn't going to settle for what I was doing and not making any money at it.
Yeah. And, you have achieved a massive amount, and, the female of Dr. Drew, that's quite the compliment. How, so many people struggled to make money. What are you doing different to them? What makes it work? Why do you think you can build 7-figure businesses and the likes of me, I struggle with that? What are you doing different to me? And what changed? Did you change your mindset when you came back that you don't end up in this position again? Sorry, that's 2 questions thrown at you.
Well, it's a couple things. The first thing, you have to sit down and figure out what's stopping you. Yeah. So most people, it's a limiting belief system that they can't make money. They were told at some point, what you do doesn't make money, your service is not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're not talented enough, there's too many people that do what you do. That's what they were told. And I always said, that's garbage. There's plenty of clients to go around. I can make just as much, if not more. So in the beginning, I had a rough time because I had a lot of haters that came out and said, a female's no good at this job, and you shouldn't be doing it, and we don't like your credentials, and we don't like you. And I said, I don't care. And had I listened to that, I call it the little voice, the little negative voice on your shoulder, and had I listened to it, I wouldn't be where I am. So I tell people I didn't get where I am just, it just happened. It didn't happen. It was lots of focus, lots of law of attraction. And then you have to make peace with money. You have to accept money. A lot of people say, well, I don't want to be wealthy or I don't want to be rich. I just want to be comfortable. I say, why can't you be rich and good at your job and help people? And people stop and they go, oh, I never thought about that. Yeah, why can't you have everything? Who said you can have one or the other? Where is that coming from? And in my industry, addiction, people say you shouldn't charge for your services.
Yes,
and I say, why
absolutely.
not? Yeah.
They do, absolutely. So that makes it, a double barrier.
Mm-hmm. I had a nurse tell me she was disgusted that I was charging for my work. And I said, do you get a paycheck? And she said, well, of course. And I said, well, what kind of patients do you work with? And she said, cancer. And I said, well, I'm disgusted that you would charge cancer patients to help them recover from cancer. And she goes, well, that doesn't make sense. And I said, so why does it make sense when you tell me I can't get paid for my service?
Yeah.
And she said, I never thought of it that way. I said, you're conditioned to believe that my industry should make no money, but your industry should pay you? I said, that's correct. So a lot of it is overcoming a limiting belief, pushing out a product works. And if something doesn't work in your business, you have to be able to pivot. So if it doesn't work, what else can I put out there? How can I make it different? How can I change it? How can I make it better? How can I add value to it without overextending myself? Those are the things you want to consider to get to the next level.
Love it. And what about, I presume as well, you build a 7-figure business, so you know the steps to do it, so you have that no matter what happens. But was there a voice in you was like, I could lose it again, or what if I don't sustain it again? Or does that not even enter your head?
Well, in the beginning, it did. It was, what if I tank this all over again? So what I did different was I didn't overextend myself financially in this company. The first one, we bought houses, we bought cars, we took expensive trips. In the beginning, we spent a lot of money. So this one, I said, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to just wait it out and see how it does. And by the fourth year, I've been in business almost 10 now. By the fourth year, it was growing. And then we had 1 year where it was shaky because there was a lot of, my industry was very turmoilish. They were arresting people for patient brokering. So we had one year that it wasn't, what it should be. But I stuck it out, and I just budgeted us to make it work, and just kept growing. So you have to pivot. If your company isn't producing the same income that it was, you scale back your expenses. That means less time eating out. That means less Starbucks. Maybe if you can pay a bill off, pay it off. If you can't, just wait. And then when you have good months, you don't spend it frivolously. You pay the bills, the debt, you get everything in alignment, and then you go out and have a good time. So it's a combination of both. You have to know how much money you're making and how much you're spending, and you have to believe more is always coming. You also have to give back. One thing I do is I always give back. I always say to people, because I teach classes, I have the largest addiction school in the world right now. And some people will say, I just don't have the money to pay for it. And I'll say, just pay for the books. Come in and pay for the books. So we do a lot of giving back. And that, for law of attraction works great, because when you give back and help other people, you get more. And you have to always think of it that way. Money is universal energy. That's all it is. And we spend it on goods and services. That's all we do. Instead of saying, I got to hoard my money. If you have money that you hoard, you're not going to get more because you're already hoarding a bunch of it. But if you bring it in, bring it out, bring it in, bring it out, you're constantly moving it around, you're always going to get more. And you have to think of it that way.
And what about the area of addiction? Sometimes, if we're heavily involved in addiction or something like that, sometimes our mindsets are not in the right place to help ourselves. Or am I having, is it a hard area? Or it sounds like this is your passion, this is what just flows to you, this is what you should be doing, because sometimes we know what's good for us, but we don't always invest in ourselves to create the change.
Right. So a lot of times with the addiction side, the family member might call. And they'll say, I want my son back. I want my husband back. I want my daughter back. I feel like, addiction has taken over. And when I come out and work with them, I start them off and I say, addiction's not your problem. It's your solution to a problem. I want to know what your problem is, because you're utilizing drugs and alcohol to deal with an issue that you're not dealing with correctly. You're not handling properly. So how can we work on that? How can we fix that? And then once we do that, then it's realizing you have untapped potential. So once I get them sober and I get them in a mindset that they can do this, and they get clean off the drugs and alcohol and their head clears up, they absolutely are stunned at what they can do. So the first step is get them off the drugs and alcohol. The second step is to get them to realize that the drugs and alcohol are not the problem. This is their solution.
Yeah.
The third step is to create a new solution. And then the fourth step is to show them how amazing their life could be.
Yeah. And that's the same process you would if you have negative money beliefs. You're not bringing in the money you want. The business is not going where you want to go. It's kind of similar. So we're looking at where's the core issue, and picking that. Issues. Yeah.
How did you get here, and how do we get you out of here?
Yeah. Yeah. You sound amazing. Like you really walk your talk. And why, I just want to ask you about this. Making peace with money and laws of attraction, why are they, because I've heard, I'm actually doing a really incredible course myself at the moment, and I'm working on my money beliefs. So it's funny how you show up just at the right time. And what's the big piece with making peace with money and, the law of attraction? So I ideally need to be focusing on abundance rather than lack. correct?
Correct. Yep.
And why is that so powerful, and why does that help somebody make a 7-figure business?
So if you're following law of attraction and you focus on anything, you get more of that. So if you focus on money, you'll get more money. If you focus on anxiety and frustration, guess what you're going to get? More anxiety and more frustration. So it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you wake up and something bad happens and you say, oh, this day is going to suck, guess what's going to happen? Everything that day will go wrong, and you will notice that. But if you wake up and you go, I'm going to have an amazing day, I'm going to make $10,000 today, I am going to, it's just going to be amazing, I'm going to be happy, I'm going to be excited, this is awesome. The first thing that happens when the negative comes your way, it's not as big. You don't notice it as much. You're like, okay, so that didn't work, I'll move on to the next thing. You'll also get calls out of nowhere. So when we have a bad month, and I say bad month, when it's lower than it should be, I'll sit here and I'll say, okay, I need a good client. I need a nice big paying client. And I'll focus on it. And I have a vision board. And my mantra is money flies at me from all directions. And I put that up there. And I focus on it. And within 2 to 3 days, the phone will ring. And I may get 3 or 4 calls. And I may go, wow, I'm going to get 3 or 4 big clients. But that may not be the issue. I may only get one of those. I may not get any of those. But it might spark an idea that my brain goes, okay, you know what? That client came from a referral source. I'm going to call that referral source and see if they have any other clients. And then, bam, I have another client. So it's not just sitting on the sofa waiting for the phone to ring. It's also being proactive. So I do a lot of marketing. I do a lot of networking. I'm constantly putting myself out there, whether it's TV show or a podcast or photos. I recently learned TikTok. And everyone is like, why are you on TikTok? Because it's more exposure. Even though it's funny little videos and, you're dancing around the kitchen or whatever it is you're doing, it's still exposure. And you consistently have to put yourself out there. The more you put yourself out there, the more the return will be, but it may not be today. So I just started now, I think it's 3 weeks of doing TikToks, and I'm bored, and it's tiring, but I may see a reward 6 months down the line. Yeah. So it's just consistency. And the more energy I put out there, the more things that come back to me.
It sounds like a focused energy, whereas, this is where you want to go, this is what you want to make happen, and then your mind's putting out the energy, but you're also being proactive. And it's the combination of two that's making it happen.
Exactly. And sometimes you'll get a setback. Sometimes something will go wrong, and you'll say, wow, I can't believe that happened. Give you an example. Back in June, we had 3 big clients. I closed all 3. Back to back. Huge. In July, we had 4 calls for the exact same service. I closed none of them. None of them. I'm like, wow, I'm going to close these 4. Nothing happened. Okay. So what did I learn? Well, I have to take a look at what I learned and take a look at my marketing. Could I have done something different? How could I use this to my advantage? And maybe we'll get that client down the road, but not right now. So there's so many things in the factor of what you're doing that it's not just, oh, I didn't get the client. I put the energy out there, the phone didn't ring. Or I put the energy out there and I didn't get what I needed. You have to continually, progress and continually move up the ladder and continue to do things, because if you don't, you're not going to get the next call.
Yeah. And what do you mean by making peace with money? And I want you to tie that with, how do you, if somebody has a limiting belief, what are you telling them to do to change it?
So a limiting belief, and I'll give you an example. I grew up in a family that was very poor, didn't have any money, and there were no trips, there were no vacations. At one point, I had 2 pairs of shoes to my name. So the belief was, we don't have that kind of money. We're not that kind of family. We don't go to college. There's nothing you can do about it. This is the family you're born into. And I said, why? And they didn't have an answer. They couldn't tell me why. And I said, well, if you can't tell me why can't I change that? And they said, well, I'm different. I'm going to make something. I'm going to make something happen. And they laughed at me. They're like, you can't do that. You can't go to college. You can't do these things. And I did them. And when I did them, they went, okay, well, you did that, but you can't do this. And then I did that. And they said, well, you did these 5 things, but you can't do that. And the first time I was on CNN, major TV, I called my mom, and I'm like, I'm on CNN tonight at 11 o'clock. And she goes, oh, just tape it. Send it to me. Yeah. And I'm like, you can't watch it? It's a limiting belief in my family that we don't do these things. And to this day, they still have that limiting belief. So I knew I had to cut them loose. I can't stay around those people and do what I'm doing at this level being told that's nice, but. So part of this in mindset is also getting rid of those toxic people. And making peace with money may be having to get rid of those toxic people so that you can make more money. You have to think of it that way too. If people hold you back and tell you that you're not good enough or you're not going to be able to do this, it's because they are triggered by your success. And the more successful you get, the worse they feel about themselves. So, and they use money as the control. You don't deserve that. You're not smart enough. Your project isn't good enough. You'll never get on TV. You'll never get on that TV show. You'll never write a book. And if you hear this long enough, you go, you know what? It's not worth it. They're right. And if you try 1 or 2 times and you fail, then you have a self-fulfilling prophecy of, yeah, they're right. I tried what they told me that I couldn't do, and I can't do it. And then you're in the loop, and then you're in the circle. So I've had several businesses. Go ahead.
It sounds like you're very good at it. If somebody says, oh, you can't do that, Cali, you're like, well, I'll prove you wrong.
Exactly. Exactly. The best form of revenge is success.
Yeah.
So if somebody says, you're too stupid to, you're too fat, you're too this, you're too that, and you do it, you don't have to say a word. I did it. The thing you told me I couldn't do, I just did.
Cali, you're amazing. What you've shared is amazing. For anybody listening to this, what's that kind of one thing from our whole conversation? If somebody is looking to live the way you do and dream the way you do and create what you have created, it's obvious from chatting that you have, you help a lot of people. You've amazing success. Someone who's inspired and wants to do what you do, what would you say to them?
Just do it. Absolutely do it. And get going on it. Don't wait. It's the whole waiting concept that'll hold you back. I mean, when I got back into private practice, I made business cards. I had less than $30 in my account when I got back into this company, and I made business cards and just put them out and focused on the phone ringing, and it did within 24 hours. So if you're too worried about the perfect business card or the perfect website or the perfect anything, you're just not going to do it. Do it and see what happens.
Yeah, do it and readjust as you go. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Just start. Yeah. And how does somebody get in touch with you or find out more about you, Cali?
Well, I have a giveaway for your audience. So if they go to unpauseyourlife.com, I have a bunch of free handouts on there that they can use to help them overcome limiting beliefs and build a roadmap and build a vision board on there. They can also reach me at theaddictionscoach.com. And on social media, I am Dr. Cali Estes, so I'm pretty easy to find.
Thank you, Dr. Cali Estes. This has been amazing. And thank you for giving me your time.
Thanks. Have a great day.
You too. Thank you for joining us on the Financial Freedom Podcast to creating wealth, investing, and developing your money mindset. To get started today on your journey, head on over to www.lornapoole.com and grab your free course, 5 Steps to Breaking Free from Your Poverty Mindset and Accelerating Your Journey to Financial Freedom. See you there.